Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going deep with philosopher Philippa Foot and,
Oh, cool.
yeah, into the world of metaethics.
Okay.
You guys shared excerpts from John Hackeright's book, Philippa Foot's Metaethics, and we're here to, help you pull out those golden nuggets.
Yeah.
We throw around the word good all the time.
Totally.
Good food, good people, good times. But, what does that even mean? Is it just a feeling, some objective property things have? Or is there something deeper going on that we often miss?
Totally. Yeah.
That's where Philippa Foot comes in.
Yeah.
And she's got a way of approaching this age-old question that just might turn your thinking upside down.
Yeah, what's fascinating about Foot is that she doesn't shy away from the complexity of this seemingly simple question, what is goodness?
Right.
And she uses this really clever thought experiment to make her point.
Okay.
Imagine her asking an audience to evaluate a plain piece of paper as good or bad. It immediately highlights the absurdity of treating good like it's just another characteristic of an object.
Yeah.
Like its color or size.
It's like, how can a piece of paper be inherently good or bad?
Right.
Without any context.
Exactly.
Yeah, that really forces you to think about the way we use the word good and what we're actually trying to express.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Foot proposes using what's called the grammatical method to kind of untangle this philosophical knot. This method, which was influenced by the work of Ludwig Wittgenstein, suggests that we can gain a deeper understanding of concepts by closely observing how we use words in everyday language. So rather than searching for some abstract definition of goodness, Foot argues that we should look at the various ways we use the word good in different situations.
So it's like figuring out the rules of a game.
Yeah.
By watching how people actually play it.
Exactly.
Right. You don't just read the rule book. You see how the rules are applied in practice.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And Foot uses this method to highlight that a lot of the time.
Okay.
What we consider good is actually relative to the speaker's perspective or goals.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
It's like when your favorite team scores a point.
Yes.
It's good for you and your fellow fans, but definitely not good for the opposing team and their fans.
Precisely. It's what Foot calls speaker relative goodness.
Okay.
It might seem obvious when we talk about sports.
Right.
But Foot argues that this speaker relative aspect of goodness is often overlooked even when we're dealing with seemingly objective claims.
Yeah.
Like our individual aims and perspectives color our judgments about what's good and bad even when we don't realize it.
That's a really interesting point, and it makes me wonder, is everything about goodness just relative to the speaker?
Right.
Is there no such thing as something being inherently good?
That's where Foot's concept of natural goodness comes into play. She argues that there is a sense of goodness that's tied to the flourishing of living things.
Okay.
And it's not just about human preferences.
Right.
For instance, we'd say a tree has good roots if they're strong and healthy, enabling the tree to thrive.
Right.
This isn't about our subjective opinion, but rather about what allows that tree to function well according to its nature.
So it's like saying a good heart is one that pumps blood effectively.
Exactly.
It's good because it's fulfilling its function within the organism.
Exactly. And what sets Foot apart from many other philosophers is that she doesn't draw a hard line between human goodness and the natural world.
Okay.
She sees a continuity between the good of a tree and the good of a human being.
Okay.
Both are rooted in this idea of fulfilling a specific kind of life.
Okay, this is where it starts to get really mind-bending.
Yeah.
Foot uses philosopher Michael Thompson's concept of life forms to explore this idea further.
Yes.
Can you break down what life forms are all about?
Sure. So Thompson argues that each species has a distinct life form.
Okay.
A set of inherent goals and functions that are characteristic of that species.
Okay.
So for a tree, the goals might be to grow tall and strong, absorb nutrients, and reproduce.
Okay.
Humans, too, have a characteristic way of life.
Right.
And this is where Foot brings in the idea of virtues.
Okay.
Virtues like honesty, courage, justice. They aren't just arbitrary rules, but qualities that help humans thrive.
Okay.
Within their unique life form.
So you're saying that these virtues are good because they help us live well as humans.
Precisely.
As rational and social beings.
Yeah.
They allow us to fulfill our potential, so to speak.
Exactly. Foot sees virtues as essential for humans to navigate the complexities of our particular life form.
But wouldn't this mean that we're just programmed by our biology that our morality is predetermined by our life form.
That's a common concern.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that Foot doesn't reduce human morality to mere biological function.
Right.
She recognizes that while our life form provides a foundation for our understanding of good, something really interesting happens with humans.
Okay.
It undergoes a kind of sea change.
A sea change. What do you mean by that?
Foot's emphasizing that human goodness isn't simply about survival and reproduction, as it might be for other species.
Right.
It becomes much more complex and nuanced because humans have the capacity for reason and choice.
Right.
These abilities play a crucial role in shaping our understanding of what's good and how we should live.
So we're not just robots blindly following our instincts.
Right.
We have the ability to reflect, to choose, and to shape our own understanding of morality.
Exactly. This is what makes Foot's view so compelling.
Okay.
She recognizes the influence of our biological nature, but she also acknowledges the crucial role of reason and choice in elevating human morality beyond a purely biological understanding of good.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other, it's both.
This brings us to an important concept in Foot's work.
Yes.
The idea of weakly sui generis.
Yes.
What does this mean, and why is it so important?
So sui generis means of its own kind.
Okay.
And weakly emphasizes the nuance Foot brings to this concept. It's her way of saying that human goodness is indeed unique.
Okay.
It's shaped by our capacity for reason and choice.
Right.
But it's not completely detached from our biological nature.
Yeah.
It's rooted in our life form, but it takes on a new dimension through our human capabilities.
So it's not nature versus choice, but nature informing choice.
Exactly.
This is what makes Foot's view so unique and I think so appealing.
Yes.
It avoids the pitfalls of both rigid determinism and ungrounded moral relativism. We're not just puppets of our biology,
Right.
but we're not completely free-floating moral agents either.
Yeah.
Our biology provides a framework, and our reason and choices build upon that framework.
You got it. And that's what makes Foot's perspective on ethics so thought-provoking. It acknowledges the complexities of human nature.
Yeah.
And offers a way of thinking about goodness that's both grounded and aspirational.
This is really fascinating, and I'm starting to see how Foot's ideas might help us understand how we actually live a good life.
Yeah.
It's not just about abstract philosophical debates.
Right.
It's about how we make choices, develop our character, and interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. And that's precisely where Foot's insights on the virtues and how they relate to our desires and appetites become incredibly relevant.
Okay.
She offers a really interesting perspective on what it takes to not just know what's right,
All right.
but to actually do what's right.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's dive into that. This idea of cultivating our desires for good is really intriguing.
Yeah.
It makes me think that maybe being a good person isn't just about knowing the rules, but about developing a kind of moral compass within ourselves.
That's a great way to think about it. Foot emphasizes that this moral compass
isn't formed in a vacuum.
Okay.
We're not just individuals
Right.
figuring things out on our own. Our understanding of good is deeply influenced by the communities we belong to and the traditions we inherit.
So things like cultural norms and practices play a role in shaping our moral development.
Absolutely. These norms can provide a framework for understanding what's considered good or bad within a particular society.
Oh, okay.
And this is crucial, Foot also recognizes that these norms can sometimes be misguided or even harmful.
Right.
They're not infallible.
It's like the example we were discussing earlier about how certain cultures viewed masturbation as harmful.
Right.
Those beliefs were based on flawed information, not a true understanding of human flourishing.
Exactly. Foot highlights that even widely accepted moral beliefs can be based on false or outdated information.
Right.
This is where reason and critical thinking becomes so important.
Okay.
They allow us to challenge those beliefs.
Yeah. And refine our understanding of what truly constitutes a good life.
So it's not about blindly accepting what we've been taught,
Right.
but about using our reason
Exactly.
to evaluate those beliefs and see if they actually align with our understanding of human flourishing and the virtues.
Precisely. For Foot, being a good person isn't about passively conforming to a set of rules. It's an active, ongoing project that requires us to engage with our own beliefs and desires, to critically examine the norms around us, and to strive towards a life that aligns with our best understanding of what it means to be human.
This makes goodness sound a lot more dynamic than I initially thought.
Yeah.
It's not a fixed state of being, but a continual process of reevaluation and refinement. We're constantly learning, growing, and adjusting our understanding of what it means to live a good life.
That's a key point. For Foot, it's not about reaching some final destination of goodness. It's about the journey itself. The constant striving, the self-reflection, the willingness to challenge our assumptions and refine our understanding.
It's like we're constantly fine-tuning our moral compass as we navigate through life.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights how Foot's concept of natural goodness, when applied to humans, isn't about conforming to some predetermined blueprint. It's about recognizing that our nature provides a foundation. But that foundation is constantly being shaped and reshaped by our experiences, our choices, and our interactions with others.
So it's a dance between our individual choices and the social context that shape those choices.
Exactly. We're shaped by the world around us, but we also have the power to shape ourselves and the world we live in. It's a call for both personal responsibility and social awareness.
Okay, I think I'm starting to wrap my head around this idea of natural goodness as it applies to humans. But I'm also wondering how this all plays out in practical terms.
Like, how does Foot's perspective help us make sense of specific moral issues? How do we determine what's right or wrong in those tricky situations where the answer isn't always clear?
That's where Foot's emphasis on cultivating the virtues becomes really practical. She believes that developing those qualities we've been discussing, honesty, courage, justice, and so on, can equip us to navigate those complex moral dilemmas. It's not about memorizing a set of rigid rules, but about developing those character traits that will guide us towards making good choices, even in challenging situations.
So instead of asking what's the rule, we should be asking, what would a virtuous person do in this situation?
Exactly.
It becomes more about who we are rather than what we do in any given moment.
You've got it. And remember, Foot sees virtues as perfections of our natural powers. They help us to use our reason and our desires in a way that leads to human flourishing.
Not just for ourselves, but for others as well.
This reminds me of something you said earlier about Foot's approach avoiding some of the pitfalls of other ethical theories. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Of course. Think about utilitarianism, for example.
Good.
This approach focuses on maximizing happiness or pleasure. While that sounds appealing at first, Foot argues that blindly pursuing happiness without considering other moral factors can sometimes lead to problematic outcomes.
I can see how that could be an issue.
Yeah.
What about other ethical systems like deontology, which emphasizes following moral rules?
Deontology runs into its own set of issues. While rules are important, rigidly following them without considering the context of a situation can also lead to unintended negative consequences. Foot believes that by focusing on cultivating virtues, we develop a more holistic and nuanced way of approaching ethical dilemmas.
So it's not about simply calculating the best outcome or blindly following rules. It's about developing good character and letting that character guide our actions.
Exactly. And that good character, cultivated through the practice of virtues, helps us make sound judgments in those complex situations where simple rules or calculations might fail us.
This is making me realize that ethical decision-making isn't about finding the perfect solution, because often there isn't one. It's about striving to make the best choice we can, given the specific circumstances and guided by our own moral compass, which we've honed through cultivating the virtues.
You're getting to the heart of Foot's perspective. It's rooted in the complexities of real-life ethical decision-making, where there are rarely easy answers or clear-cut solutions.
This all connects back to the idea that we have a certain degree of agency in shaping our own moral development. We're not just passively accepting whatever moral beliefs or desires we've inherited.
Foot's view emphasizes personal responsibility, but not in a way that ignores the influence of our social and cultural contexts. It's this constant dance between individual choice and the forces that shape those choices.
But if there's no simple formula for ethical decision-making.
Right.
How do we actually go about cultivating these virtues?
Yeah.
Does Foot offer any guidance on that?
While Foot doesn't lay out a step-by-step program,
Okay.
she does highlight the importance of practice and habit. It's like learning any skill.
Right.
The more you practice, the better you get at it.
Okay.
The key is to consistently make the effort to act in accordance with the virtues, even in small everyday situations.
So it's about building those moral muscles through repeated action.
Exactly. And just as with physical exercise, there will be times when it's hard, when we falter, and when we might make mistakes. But those are all part of the process.
Yeah.
The key is to keep striving, keep practicing, and to learn from our missteps.
It sounds like a lifelong journey of growth and self-discovery.
It is. And it's a journey that we don't have to take alone. Remember, Foot emphasizes the importance of community and shared practices in shaping our understanding of the good.
Yeah.
We can learn from others, support each other, and hold each other accountable as we strive to live more virtuous lives.
This is giving me a lot to reflect on.
Yeah.
It's a more challenging approach to ethics than just following a set of rules, but it also feels more empowering.
Right.
It suggests that we have a real capacity to shape ourselves and the world around us for the better.
That's the beauty of Foot's perspective.
Yeah.
It calls for a deeper engagement with ethics.
Okay.
One that recognizes the complexities of human nature and the power of individual choice within a social context.
We've talked about natural goodness, virtues, the role of desires. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see how these different pieces fit together to form a cohesive ethical framework.
It's a rich and multifaceted framework, and we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But hopefully this is giving you a taste
of
how Foot's ideas can help us make sense of the ethical challenges we face, both individually and as a society.
It definitely has for me. I'm especially interested in how Foot's focus on our connection to the natural world might inform our approach to some of the pressing issues we face today.
Right.
Like climate change and environmental destruction. It seems like her emphasis on the inherent goodness of all living things could offer a powerful counter-narrative to the human-centered worldview
Absolutely.
that has contributed to these problems.
That's a brilliant observation and a perfect segue into one of the most compelling aspects of Foot's work. She really challenges us to rethink our relationship with the natural world.
I'm eager to hear more about that. Yes, so much of contemporary ethics seems to put humans at the center of everything, like we're somehow separate from or above nature.
Yeah.
But Foot's view, like grounding human goodness in our life form and connecting it to the natural goodness found in all living things, it really disrupts that hierarchy.
Yeah, that's a key insight.
Yeah.
So much of modern thought has been dominated by this idea of humans as the pinnacle of creation, with everything else existing solely for our benefit.
Yeah.
Foot challenges that anthropocentric view by emphasizing the inherent goodness found in all of nature, not just human nature.
So it's not just about what's good for humans,
You're right.
but recognizing the inherent worth and goodness in all of nature.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes you think about those pressing issues we face today.
Yeah.
Like climate change and the destruction of ecosystems.
Right.
Perhaps part of the problem stems from this very human-centered way of seeing the world. This idea that we're entitled to exploit nature for our own gain.
Foot's perspective provides a powerful alternative to that kind of thinking. By recognizing the inherent goodness in all of nature, she encourages us to view ourselves not as masters of the universe, but as participants in this complex and interconnected web of life.
Yeah.
And that participation, as you pointed out, comes with responsibilities.
It's a shift from a mindset of dominance to one of interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Instead of asking, how can we use nature to our advantage? We start asking, how can we live in a way that respects and sustains the intricate balance of all life?
That's a profound shift in perspective.
Yeah.
And it has implications not just for how we treat the environment, but for how we understand our place in the world and our responsibilities to all living things.
It was making me think about all sorts of things, from animal rights to sustainable living to the ethical challenges of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and genetic engineering. Foot's ideas seem incredibly relevant to so many of the issues we're grappling with today.
You're right. Foot's work has this remarkable timeliness to it. She offers a framework for ethical thinking
Yeah.
that can help us navigate these uncharted waters.
Okay.
For instance, as technology advances,
Right.
we need to continually reevaluate what it means to live a good life in this new context.
It's like the goalposts are constantly shifting, and we need to adapt our ethical frameworks to the realities of our time.
Exactly.
We can't cling to outdated notions of what's good when the world around us is changing so rapidly.
Foot's work reminds us that our understanding of good is not static.
Yeah.
It's this dynamic process that's constantly shaped and reshaped
Okay.
by our experiences, our knowledge, and the world we inhabit.
Right.
This requires open-mindedness, a willingness to engage in thoughtful dialogue with those who hold different viewpoints, and a commitment to critical self-reflection.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
Philippa Foot's ideas offer a fresh perspective on age-old ethical questions and provide a framework for navigating the complexities of the 21st century.
Her work is a powerful reminder that ethics isn't just a theoretical exercise.
Right.
It's woven into the very fabric of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And as we've explored today, it's a journey we undertake together.
Right.
Continually striving towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we share.
Well said. I think that beautifully captures the essence of Philippa Foot's philosophy.
Yeah.
It's both challenging and hopeful. Grounded in our nature, yet open to the possibilities of growth and change.
And just like the tree with its strong, healthy roots,
Yeah.
Foot's ideas provide a solid foundation for us to grow and flourish as individuals and as a society.
I love that analogy. This conversation has given me so much to think about. And I'm sure listeners feel the same.
Yeah.
It's definitely sparked a desire to learn more about Philippa Foot.
Yeah.
And to explore how her insights can guide us towards a more ethical and fulfilling way of life.
That's what we hope for with every deep dive, to ignite that spark of curiosity and inspire further exploration.
Well, on that note, it's time for us to resurface from this deep dive into Philippa Foot's world.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Thanks for having me.
And we hope you'll continue to explore and question the world around you with a renewed sense of wonder and a commitment to living a good life.
Absolutely.
Until next time.